Welcome to the Breakdown, everybody. This is Aaron Barker, broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep behind enemy lines, asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible study and sent to therapy. Thank you all so very much for the opportunity to be in your vehicle, office, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, or doghouse. Wherever it is you may be listening to the program today. Just got to adjust Harry the Bigfoot back there. Harold. All right, folks, it's been a crazy week. Thank you all again for hanging with me, and thanks again for the support I'm getting over on Odyssey Radio with the release of Freaky Friday and playing the show over there. This past week, if you didn't hear, we interviewed Marshall Masters on starting cannabis survival churches. If you haven't heard of that at all, or you don't know what it is, I would strongly encourage you to get over there and listen to that interview. Also, if you go to the website, you can download a free ebook that goes along with Marshall's interview as he's doing a step-by-step walkthrough process on starting cannabis churches. Excellent interview, a lot of fun, and very excited for that. So that will be something that's your assignment. That's your homework assignment for this week, class. Go and listen to that interview. That interview was really awesome, and the reason I liked it so much, first off, it started out with a lot of great information, and then we went into the second hour of the interview, and it was even more information delving into the ebook. Well, towards the end, I realized I'm not going to get all the information that this topic needs tonight. So I asked Marshall on air. I was like, "Hey man, can you stay with us for some more time?" And he was like, "Absolutely." So then you have the regular 2-hour show, which is broadcast on Odyssey Radio. You can go to odysseyradio.com as well, ODYSY radio.com. You can go there, but not only was the show, the 2 hours broadcast there live, but then we did a bonus, and I'm thinking like we're going to do a bonus maybe 15, 20 minutes. There was almost an hour and a half of uninterrupted interview that happened. So there were no commercials, nothing like that. For the third hour, or third segment, I guess you can call it, hour 3 ended up being an hour and a half. It was awesome stuff there. So a lot of great information. You're going to want to make sure you have a pen and piece of paper there with you to listen to that interview. But very, very happy that he was able to give us so much time and that he was willing to be with us. Now, all right, let's get to this show because that's that show. And this is this show. So let's get to this show here. If you haven't heard of this, there was a marathon last week, a 10K on the Sky Bridge. It was called Skyway Bridge, and I believe this is in Tampa, Florida, and there were some troopers assigned to protect this to protect the bridge, to watch it, make sure no traffic was driving on it, etc. Well, there was a state trooper who was there by the name of Toni Schuck, who saw that there was a car barreling down towards the bridge, so she was doing her job to step in and try to protect the people on the bridge. Well, her job in this situation actually involved her purposely putting her vehicle in harm's way. She purposely drove into the path of this oncoming car, this drunk driver, as they're approaching the bridge. And here, if you're watching, here is the video footage of this. And then for those of you who are listening, you're going to be able to hear this as well. It is absolutely amazing. Let me see if I can make sure that it's all cranked up here. I don't think there's any volume on this one. But she's just driving down the road, and you can see that there's a car coming, so she positions herself on the dotted line. And then as the vehicle is approaching her, then boom. And she purposely put her vehicle in the way of this oncoming car to make sure that the car did not get to the bridge. And I mean, it was heroic. It was crazy to watch the footage. I mean, just thinking about, and when you see this collision from inside the car, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's toast. With somebody here is just absolute toast. Not only this footage, but there has been some other footage that has surfaced here, and this other footage actually shows see that carnage afterwards and hear that. This video, the new video that was released, actually shows the view from inside the vehicle, footage from inside the vehicle. I got this from the News Junkies site, Facebook page. He posted this out there. But this is inside Toni Schuck's police vehicle as she stopped a drunk woman. like by putting her car in the way. So let's listen to and watch this footage here as well. She's driving along. You see her position her car. She can see the car coming. And just the inside of the car, just, as you can imagine, as soon as there's impact, insane. As soon as there's impact, she, smashes her face right into the airbag that deploys. All of her equipment, her computer equipment, all of her folders, clipboards, printers, laptop, everything just goes flying forward inside the car. And then there's footage after this. There's footage after this, or pictures after this. Actually, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to watch this again, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut so you all can actually, let's do this. I'm going to keep my mouth shut so you can get the fullness of this here, and I'm also going to turn, there we go. All right. Just listen to and enjoy this, and those who are listening on the radio, it's going to take a few seconds before you get there, but be patient and just be prepared for that sound as well. As she's just driving, doing her job, positions her car over the dotted white lines. And you can hear her in the car screaming as she yelps.
Introducing next generation herbicide drift control. New Ultralock adjuvant from Winfield.
All right, sorry about that. Those advertisements that were playing. So this is the inside carnage, the during carnage of the vehicle, and then how she purposely and intentionally puts her. Now that type of commitment to your job, but that type of commitment to the people that are behind her, because there's an interview here. I'm going to play another interview with her actually as she's speaking. So the woman in the oncoming vehicle that she collided with was arrested. She did go to jail, and when they tested her blood alcohol level, it was 3 times the legal limit in Florida. 3 times the legal limit in Florida. If Trooper Schuck would not have been there when she was and did what she did, then there is no telling how much death that could have caused this. You all remember, it was the Christmas parade. Where was it? I can't remember the state. I should remember the state. I'm embarrassed that I don't. But the Christmas parade where that driver drove through and killed multiple people. It was in Wisconsin. That's where it was. In Wisconsin, where the driver just plowed through these vehicles. But the Schuck wasn't having any of this. Trooper Schuck wouldn't have any of this. Here's her first interview that she did here. This is on WHAS 11. Which I'm pretty sure is out of Florida, out of that Tampa area down there. I've got some family in Tampa. I'm going to have to reach out and find out if they know of this situation. Maybe some of them you know. But here's the interview that she did, and just listen to the emotion in her voice as she talks.
We're getting a closer look at the moment a local trooper stopped an alleged drunk driver from crashing into thousands of people taking part in last weekend's Skyway 10K.
The car is just absolutely destroyed.
Toni Schuck is talking for the first time about why she did it.
It really overwhelmed me. It was just a situation where I knew there were people there, and I'm thankful it was me.
Now, when she says I'm thankful that it was me, I don't think she's saying I'm thankful that it was me that did it. I think she was saying I'm thankful that it was me, that I'm the one who ended up getting hit and not everybody else, because she would rather suffer and get injured than everybody else was. So I don't think that's any kind of arrogant display of her saying she's glad it was her to be in that vehicle wreck or anything like that. I know somebody might think that, but just in case you did, I don't think that's where she's coming from.
Position where I've had to put myself for somebody else.
This is the aftermath of that crash. An arrest report shows the alleged drunk driver had a blood alcohol level of 0.271. That's over 3 times the legal limit of 0.08 here in Florida. Trooper Schuck says the driver, Kristen Watts, blew past multiple troopers, so she knew she was the last person who could stop that car. Now, we must warn you about this. This new video that I'm about to show you in a few seconds is really hard to watch. It shows inside of Trooper Schuck's car at the moment of this crash. She really was the last line of defense. Now, just look at how close the crash came to the race's start line. You can see it right there. Keep in mind,
there was quite a few.
She was doing much better tonight.
It was really close to where this was about to start. She really was like literally the last stop before they got this drunk driver got to the bridge. You know, I know that I'm not going to go off and like change my mind. I know that there are a lot of cops out there that do a lot of crappy things, but there are also some cops out there and police officers who put themselves in harm's way, who make sure that they do their job and protect the citizens around them. And Trooper Schuck's one of those. So this is pretty phenomenal. The rest of this video footage.
There were people there. I didn't know where they were. I just knew that they were still on that bridge because we hadn't got the all clear. I knew I was the last one. I knew there was nobody else behind me.
There's the footage inside
that she didn't get past me. And of course, in our jobs, we're to protect and serve. And even on her behalf, she could have stopped. She could have just stopped.
The driver faces 5 charges, all of them related to DUI and reckless driving. Investigators are still trying to figure out just how fast she was going. As for Trooper Schuck, for legal reasons, she couldn't talk about her injuries. She's taking some time to recover before heading back to work, and she is thankful for the outpouring of support that she has received from across the country.
So they show. I want to flip back to this footage here,
just how fast,
because when they have the lady here that did this, the drunk driving. First off, there's a vehicle also showing the carnage that was done on the SUV that Trooper Schuck was driving. But then they flip. It's just destroyed. Then they flip to a photo or a video of this woman who is in. I cannot make out here. Maybe somebody out there can help me out, because they show her being wheeled into the courtroom in the wheelchair, and as she's sitting behind the table talking, I can't make out if she's crying or if she cracks a smile here. Like, I think she smiles right there as she's being, I guess, arraigned in this situation. And those who are watching the video, you can help me out here. It just looks like this, like she's not cracking up, but there's a little bit or a hint of a smile on her face, and that, if it is true, is just like right here, like right there, boom. I don't know if she's, I don't know. But if she's smiling over that, or smiling at all in this situation, I mean, a lot of people could have been killed. A lot of people could have suffered the carnage that came after if Trooper Schuck wouldn't have been there. Now, she put herself in the position. She protected those people that were behind her, and that's what we're all supposed to do. The Bible says that greater love hath no man than this, than a man lay down his life for his friends. So if you are out there and you see somebody in harm, you see somebody in harm's way, it's your job, it's your responsibility. You could be charged in America. You could be charged with a crime if you do not stop to render aid to someone, or at least call 911 if you see somebody injured or being assaulted on the side of the road or in a car accident or something like that. If you just drive by, you can be charged with a felony. So just think about that. We're to the point where the law is even charging people, or would charge people for that. But anyway, that was that case there. This woman, of course, is being arraigned for this. Thousands of people's lives were spared because of the sacrifice of this young lady, Trooper Toni Schuck. Trooper Toni Schuck. Very blessed. Florida is very blessed to have somebody like that down there with them. All right, let's move on to some other stories here. As we go, let's see what we've got here in the chum bucket, which is just absolutely teeming here right now. All right, this is an interesting thing to me. I've seen this story post up several times before, and I found this, and I thought, well, I'd like to find out a little bit more about this, because as I get older, it's not that I'm a hippie or anything like that. I'm kind of like a hippie flower child at heart. I want to be. I'm doing my show barefoot right now, and I like to walk barefoot in the grass. If you listen to the show I did with Susan Smith-Jones, you would know that about me, that I used to go outside. I worked in an office building, and there were times when you're constantly in there, you're breathing that recirculated air, you're always on the phone, you might get yelled at, you might not get yelled at, you might have a great customer on the phone, you might have a great sale or something along those lines, but you've got you've got people in your that you work with and you're just around them all the time. Well, there was a lot of times that I would go outside in the wildlife preserve or nature preserve that we had next to our facility there, and I would just take my shoes off and walk through the grass barefoot just to make that connection with the earth and be like feel the vibrations of the globe. Now, a lot of people say, you can't say that. You can't say globe. The jury's still out. I jest. Or am I? Stay tuned for Freaky Friday episodes on Odyssey Radio. But the vibrations of the earth and the nature, you feeling that underneath your feet. I wanted to make that connection, and it was re-energizing. I would walk around by myself, just out there barefoot. People thought I was crazy. I didn't care. Honestly, didn't care. But then, also I would call my wife. I would talk to her. So I would just have this time where I was surrounded by trees and grass and nature and, watching the crazy Canadian geese as they tried to attack me. Another story for another show there. But I found out later that this is called earthing. And earthing is just where you just take your body and connect it to the earth through nature. And Susan Smith-Jones also mentioned lying in the buff in your yard. Now, I'm not sure if I would do that, but knowing that the Lord created us from the dust of the ground, from the clay, knowing that he reached down into the earth, that he made our bodies, fashioned them together through this clay and breathed air into our nostrils, that is something. So I'm all about that. I'm all about enjoying nature. I love looking at the stars. I love looking at the trees, the leaves, the seasons. I'm kind of a person that I don't get necessarily upset. Sometimes I get annoyed about the snow and the cold, but I kind of change with the seasons. People are like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. And I complain too, don't get me wrong. But I have my favorite times of the year. But then whatever season I'm in at that time, I just try to enjoy the weather as it comes. If it's a lot of rain, if it's a lot of snow, if it's a lot of frost, if it's just a lot of really cold temperatures and brisk wind, if there's a lot of storms brewing, if it's hot, there's all kinds of things you can find in each of those seasons to be happy with. So, and just a little bit of word of encouragement to any preacher that's listening out there. That'll preach, by the way. Bless God. That'll preach, I'll tell you. But living through the seasons, the older I get, the more I just appreciate every season of every year. And by appreciating this, I start to appreciate more the environment, and I start to be more concerned about the environment as well. And we do a lot of coverage here on the show about stratospheric aerosol injections, which is why when I come across stories like this that I'm about to cover, it annoys me because the totality of blame is not sufficiently allocated. This story here from WIO News. And again, I've seen this for the past couple of months. This isn't brand new. This is just when they covered it. But that the Earth is undergoing a sixth mass extinction, and things don't look good for humans. Evidence suggests that the world is going through its sixth mass extinction as species are vanishing at an abnormally high rate. Most species could be extinct by 2200 if the current rate of extinction continues, 2200. So we're looking at like 10 years. 10 years. Now that's within, that's about 200 years from where we are now for those people who can do math. The implications for human health and well-being are dire but not unavoidable. Nearly 99% of all species that have ever existed have gone extinct since the earliest inklings of life existed on Earth. And they say over 3.5 billion years ago. Now, as far as the age of the Earth here and whether or not it's actually 3.5 billion years old, we can have that discussion. Some people say, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show, actually, there's a discussion about whether or not there's billions of years before Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, and, in that gap there, whatever, we're not going to get into that right now. But it says the evolution of the species takes place over time, and as species evolve, they replace other extinct species. Extinctions and speciations, however, do not occur uniformly through time. Rather, they tend to take place in large pulses interspersed with periods of relative stability. Scientists refer to these extinction pulses as mass extinction events. Around 540 million years ago, questionable, there was a burst of speciation called the Cambrian explosion. Since then, the fossil record has identified at least 5 mass extinction events and probably scores of smaller ones. One of the most famous of these occurred about 66 million years ago when a giant asteroid crashed into Earth in what is now the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this is all assumption. They're basing this off of their particular scientific worldview. So there's no fact on this necessarily. This is just speculation from this group, and I'm reading this because this is what the story says. But for the extinction to be considered mass, at least 75% of all species on Earth have to become extinct within a short time frame, less than 2.8 million years. I'm glad to know that they consider that a short time frame. So maybe, you know what? Maybe that's the answer to my question. When my wife is getting ready to go someplace, maybe she's just using the same time clock as evolutionists, where she says it's going to take her 15 minutes to get ready, and actually it takes her 2.8 million years to get ready. That's probably what is probably going to get me shot, as a matter of fact. I probably shouldn't say too much like that. Anyway, it goes on here, talks about the speciations as plant species, the vertebrates, etc. And then talking about our responsibility to ensure... Oh, boy.
Starting.
Our responsibility... I hate those autoplay ads. To take care of the environment, which I'm fine with. I have no problem with that. But then they start to blame things like fossil fuels. They start to blame things like carbon. They start to blame things like our the Industrial Revolution. It really begins to blame human beings for all of the issues and all of the mass extinction events. Now, are we responsible? Absolutely. I think that we hold a responsibility for that. There are some things that we have done that we could have done better. Fracking and doing different types of methods to try to extract fuel with gathering oil, and the oil the tanker spills and the oil spills we've had over the time. All of these things that have been done by humanity, which has damaged the environment. But I do not believe that it's such a massive destructive force that it's going to bring down the entirety of the global weather. It's the word I'm thinking of. Environment. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain pop there. So the blame, however, doesn't also get placed at because, again, I know we have responsibility. We've polluted the environment. We have poured chemicals in the water. We've made the water poisonous for people to drink, not only through hydrofluorosilicic acid by intentionally putting it in there, but with the Industrial Revolution comes byproducts. With the increase of the types of products that we make, and with manufacturing increasing, there comes waste with that. That's where we get refinement of fossil fuel, quoty fingers, fossil fuels. The reason that Rockefeller, the reason that there was a prohibition was because of Rockefeller. He needed to find something to do with his petro waste. So he pushed the teetotalers and got the prohibition of alcohol so that they could take the petro waste and then refine that to make fuel for cars and turn it into gasoline, when alcohol was actually the better, cleaner, more efficient, and more or less impactful to the environment. It was a clean burning energy, and it still is. See, they blame fossil fuels, they blame humans, and they talk about going to electric cars, but they don't actually talk about geoengineering. They don't talk about the fact that electric cars increase the carbon footprint that they try to reduce. They don't talk about the fact that alcohol was actually a cleaner fuel. And that's what makes me angry about this stuff when we watch it, because if there is a mass extinction event going on and we can reverse it, if there is a chance that we can actually reverse this, let's start putting the blame and allocating the blame in all the places that the blame needs to be set. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about this and more right here on The Breakdown.
asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible studies and sent to therapy.
You're listening to The Breakdown.
Hi, it's Doc Thompson for Matthew 25 Ministries. Matthew 25 Ministries is one of the few charities I'll actually endorse because I know them. I've worked with them, and I know almost all of the money that you donate goes to help people. Go to m25m.org, m25m.org.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
What would it take for you to go to mojo50solar.com? Mojo50solar.com is the place where you can find out just how much it will cost you to have a solar system installed at your house and how much you could save. Mojo50solar.com.
Welcome back to The Breakdown, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. You know, this past week, Tucker Carlson did a huge piece on his show. It's about 17 minutes long. I don't have time to play the whole thing here, but there are some clips from this that we can listen to. And it's pretty damning, to be honest with you. And I'm glad that somebody like Tucker Carlson is out there saying this. So I'm going to play just a couple of minutes of this and let him talk to us about the chemical biological warfare that was going on in Ukraine and why that matters. Now, of course, all the media is going to go into hyperdrive saying that this is conspiracy theory and complete conjecture. However, I just want to point out that I don't think Tucker Carlson. I don't personally think Tucker Carlson goes to that level or sinks to that depth just to put out salacious news stories. So people can fight me on it. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to go to the match for the guy. I've stopped doing that. I've stopped going to the match for people because whenever you do that, they end up letting you down. There's just a handful of people right now that I would go to the match for. And I don't know if Tucker Carlson has reached that level for me yet. Not because I don't like him. I think he does great work. I'm being very careful in my life in putting out my backing for somebody or trying to convince others of somebody's worth or of their trustworthiness. I'm not going to vouch for somebody so quick. The Bible does talk about when there are pastors and when there are people, he says, do not lay your hands on anyone suddenly, meaning when you anoint somebody and pray for them to continue a work that of the ministry, you're not supposed to do it speciously. You're not supposed to do it haphazardly. You have to be able to vouch for somebody. You have to be able to know this person and trust them. So I know I'm going off on a little tangent there, but I'm going to play this from Tucker Carlson. Take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it is. None of us are experts. None of us are over there on the ground in Ukraine. None of us are over there on the ground in Russia. There's this huge conservative push in a lot of alternative media sites that I've seen, and I've had my questions about this as well. But the issue that I have here is that people are automatically coming to the defense of Putin. They're saying that, Putin is he's fighting against the globalists. And I covered a story last week from a young woman that said that Putin was also working to end child sex trafficking. That's a big one, by the way. Now, it does happen. I've had people on my show from the Exodus Project. I've talked to people about the sting operations that they do to get people out of slavery around the world, and child sex trafficking and sex trafficking is a huge part of that modern day slavery that they have. But you just notice that whenever there's something bad that's going on, whenever they want to really convince you that what people are trying to say is legit, especially when it comes to a lot of conspiracy theorists, and I tend to be a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy truthist. I do lean in that direction, but I have also noticed some things within the conspiracy theories that I kind of see as a pattern. Child sex slavery is real. It's legit. Things are happening. Legitimate. It's a legitimate charge. It's a legitimate concern. Not it's legit as in it's good. It's a legitimate concern. And there are things that are happening. But when it's always that, I mean, that's like the go-to thing that people always say. Oh, well, did you hear that he's battling child sex trafficking? It almost gets to this QAnon conspiracy and pushes this QAnon conspiracy, which is exactly what they want to do. So there's a lot of times we need to extract from those situations the facts or separate the facts between what's going on so that we can really get down to the nitty-gritty. What's actually happening here? So when the charge of somebody is battling child sex slavery or something like that pops up, be very leery, do some additional investigation and make sure you're doing your job. But here, without further ado, let me go and play a little bit from Tucker Carlson here. It's a huge video. I'm not going to be able to play the whole thing, but I do want to get some of the information that he covered here for us so that we can all still be up to date on some things that are happening there. Let's check this.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. If you had told us just 4 days ago that the Biden administration was funding secret biolabs in Ukraine, of all places, we would not have believed you. Yeah, I don't think we're going to put that on TV. No thanks. Then if you told us that not only did the administration fund these secret biolabs in Ukraine, but that they then failed to secure the deadly contents of those labs before the Russian invasion, an invasion they knew was coming, an invasion they helped encourage. If you had told us that 4 days ago, we'd have dismissed you as a nut. It was just too preposterous. We would not want anything to do with a story like that. There was no way it could be true. It's too far out. In any case, we already knew for a fact that that story was false. How do we know that? Because we read USA Today, America's newspaper. Within hours of the Russian invasion, USA Today published a rebuttal to all those crazies who are yammering on about secret Ukrainian biolabs. Here was the headline. Fact check! False claim of U.S. biolabs in Ukraine tied to Russian disinformation campaign. So if you look carefully at the story, and we did, because we were interested, you notice that this fact check was sourced to Ukrainian government unnamed officials and then Biden's State Department officials. So these were not exactly objective sources on this subject, but still, the story seemed definitive. It was totally emphatic. Quote, Russia has teamed up with China to further amplify the false claim of U.S. labs in Ukraine. Okay, USA Today says it's Russian disinformation. Maybe it is. On to the next story. But the fact checks didn't stop. That was weird. We kept seeing the same fact check again and again. It was almost like, despite endless official clarifications, some people refused to believe the Biden administration. They preferred Russian propaganda instead. And we assume they must be QAnon members. We assume that because Foreign Policy magazine told us that. According to Foreign Policy, QAnon, whatever that is, was frantically disseminating, quote, false claims of U.S. biowarfare labs in Ukraine. Those labs obviously didn't exist. It was all just another lie from the Russians, who lie for a living. Then the European Union weighed in, throwing its credibility behind the same claim. These are conspiracy theories, the EU told us. They're lies spread by Putin. An EU spokesman then reminded us that, quote, the credibility of information provided by the Kremlin is in general very doubtful and low. And that was good to know. Quote, Russian disinformation has a track record of promoting manipulative narratives about biological weapons and alleged secret labs. Yeah, we're not going to do a segment about secret labs in Ukraine. The last thing we want to do on this show is traffic in Russian disinformation spread by QAnon, so we took a pass on that story. And that's where things stood until yesterday, when we happened to tune in to a hearing of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Toria Nuland was testifying, so we were interested. Nuland's one of the people who brought us the Iraq War, never apologized for that, and kept getting promoted, because that's how D.C. works. Toni Nuland is now Joe Biden's Undersecretary of State in charge of Ukraine, and she knows a lot about Ukraine. In 2014, Toni Nuland engineered a coup in Ukraine in the name of democracy, of course. So she is a highly informed source about Ukraine. So she was having this colloquy with Senator Marco Rubio of Florida during her testimony. And at one point, Rubio took a tack that we were not expecting at all. He asked Nuland if Ukraine had biological weapons. We never imagined Ukraine would have biological weapons. Why would Ukraine have bioweapons? So it seemed like a pretty strange question. But it wasn't half as shocking as the answer he got. Watch what Toni Nuland said.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
Does Ukraine have biological weapons? Ukraine has biological research facilities. What? You mean secret biolabs? Like the secret biolabs Ukraine definitely doesn't have? Ukraine has those? Yes, it does. And not only does Ukraine have secret biolabs, Toni Nuland said, whatever they're doing in those labs is so dangerous and so scary that she is, quote, quite concerned that the so-called research material inside those biolabs might fall into the hands of Russian forces.
Now, here's the Russian narrative. They're always going to say that they believe that it's going to be Russia. They're always going to say that Russia is trying to use this as disinformation, which the United States is already using this as disinformation. If you do a quick search of this, the first stories that pop up is that this is from Business Insider, a debunked conspiracy theory about U.S. bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine was seized on. UN Council to meet on Russia claim of U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. U.S. dismisses Russian claims of biowarfare labs in Ukraine. Why do we have, there's some other ones here, why do we have biolabs in Ukraine, etc. There are multiple ones of these that pop up there. Now, why is it such a quick task to try to de-emphasize these bioweapons that are going on over there? They don't want people to know that this is what happens. They don't want people to know that biological warfare is the cleanest and most efficient warfare out there. They don't want people to understand that. And even when they have these positions where they answer these questions in such a way that they're like, okay, are there actually bioweapons there? And her answer is, we're now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So here on the DuckDuckGo search, here on the internet search, we're told that this is a conspiracy theory, that U.S. dismisses Russia claims of biowarfare labs in Ukraine. We're told that there are nothing over there like that. We're told that this is just speculation on the Alex Jones level. This is crazy stuff that people talk about and insane things that people discuss. And there's no reason for us to buy into these crazy conspiracy theories. But then we have, standing here, Victoria Nuland testifies before Congress this week that Ukraine has biological research facilities, and we're concerned that the Russians are going to get a hold of that technology. So which is it? Honestly, which is it? Is it that they have them, or and it's Russia disinformation, or they don't have them and Russia's trying to get them? We don't understand here. I don't understand. And as Tucker Carlson pointed out, that whatever's happening over there that the United States claims to know nothing about, whatever's happening over there that the United States says nothing is happening about, is so deadly that we're trying to prevent this technology or this information from falling into the hands of the Russians. So which is it? Are we crazy conspiracy theorists because we're talking about it being over there, or are we actually on the right case and on the right track
tonight?
And we're trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Because what I would really like is I would just like some people to be honest with us. I know we're not going to get it. I know we're not going to receive it. But I would just like people to acknowledge, like, hey, you know what? So we were BSing about the whole not having biological, chemical investigations over there. We were just messing around about that. I mean, in actuality, we do have a lot of it over there. Okay, just going to give you a heads up real quick, just to let you know it's there. We're a man with a plan over there. We got the biological weapons. We're going to use it over there. We're going to drop it on people and kill them all over the place. Somehow, the government sounds like Beetlejuice now. But I would just like a little bit of honesty from them telling us legit, yes, we do have biological weapons over there. We try to keep it secret because we didn't want Russia to get in touch with it, but we know their intelligence has it, and now we're worried about what's there, and we're worried about them actually getting hold of that technology. But they don't want this just even further tells us that the government doesn't want the American public to know this information. All right, you are the disease. You are the problem. The reason they have biological warfare, the reason they have these chemical manufacturing labs, the reason they're developing this is because you are the disease, Mr. Anderson. We're the disease, people. We're the ones that the elite hate. We're the ones that they want to kill and destroy. And if that takes biolabs to do that, well, then it takes biolabs to do that. If it takes war and constant, incessant war to do that, well, then it's going to be war and constant and incessant war to do that. If it takes them releasing a virus on their own people, then that's what they're going to do. But we, ladies and gentlemen, are the disease. If you remember that, then you'll be able to pick through a lot of this information. I found, interestingly, another story on this. This was from, I've never heard of this website. I was just doing my research on it, but projectcamelotportal.com by Carrie Cassidy. This was released on March 1, 2022. And it was from Storm Rider and Telegram. The Deep State, Soros, Obama, and Davos Group invest hundreds of billions of dollars into level 4 biolabs across Ukraine. It was only accessible to the U.S. and the elites. Why did Putin and White Hats clear those biolabs out weeks ago in special operations military raids to contain the viruses and other biological weapons? The strikes you're seeing now is the aftermath. Do you think White Hats would risk just destroying the biolabs and risking leaks of the bioweapons without first securing the pathogens' bioweapons? And why did Putin bomb these level 4 labs across Ukraine in precision strikes? Here's the answer. Ukraine biolabs, bioweapons, genetically modified virus, DNA sequencing engineered to target the Slavic people nations up to Russia. So this goes on to say that there are that the bioweapons labs in Ukraine are to build super soldier armies, and that's why Russia was destroying them, evidently. And then this is signed by Q. So this is just another thing that people are putting out there. Whether or not we know that they're trying to create super soldiers. Are they doing it over there? I don't really know. It would be really neat to have a conversation with somebody that knows about those super soldier programs and ask him about Jason Bourne and see if he's actually out there. We know that he exists, or something like him exists. But here's the most important thing that you have to hear. Breakdown audience, breakers, break rads, whatever you want to call yourself. I'm not sure what y'all call yourselves. If you Mom, I'll have to find out what you call yourself later, Mom. Here's the important thing. War is going on in Ukraine. War is going on around the world. Civil wars in different countries. But the U.S. Customs and Border Protection agriculture specialists assigned to the Bridge of the Americas and Santa Teresa border crossings have seized 230 pounds of prohibited pork bologna on 2 separate unrelated incidents in the past several days. Can we just... That deserves that. That's all slow clap right there. I'm so happy that the government was able to protect us from unauthorized pork entering our country. I don't know if I can handle this. It's such a tough story. People will sometimes make light of these seizures. Yes, we will. I will make light of these seizures every time I see a news release from the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol about seizing 200,000 or 230 pounds of prohibited pork bologna, because I think it's all a bunch of bologna. I don't think it matters. My goodness gracious, 230 pounds? There's nothing funny about these failed smuggling attempts, said CBP El Paso Director of Field Operations Hector Mancha. The importation of unregulated pork products has the potential to introduce foreign animal diseases, which can be a detriment to our nation's agricultural industry. The first seizure was made on February 25th at the bridge of the Americas border crossing from a married couple from El Paso, Texas, traveling in separate vehicles. The first vehicle, driven by a 23-year-old male U.S. citizen, presented himself for inspection and gave a negative agricultural declarations to the primary CBP officer. The car was referred to. Thank goodness they stayed on that. They had a hunch. That this guy was up to no good, that he was trying to start trouble in the neighborhood. They knew that this guy was doing something bad, so they pulled his car aside and they said, "We're going to search your car." They found a total of 210 pounds of bologna. They were seized. Thank goodness that they were down there, folks. This is what our government is doing right now. They're seizing bologna, pork bologna, as it comes across the border. All right, here's another. You go to the supermarket. I'm sure you've seen these. You would walk up to the refrigerated doors, you pull it open, you get a soda, and then like all the gourmet waters that they have now. They've got like 10 rows of water that's out there. Fiji water, glacier water, iceberg water, brook water, tap water, water that flowed off a giant's bum, all kinds of stuff in there. Then they've got their Coke, Diet Coke, zero sugar Coke, zero sugar Coke Zero, and then just countless sodas in there. And then, of course, the delicious and wonderful Mountain Dew, which, honestly, they can never come up with enough flavors for Mountain Dew for me to ever complain. They just had like a thing full of Mountain Dew and orange soda of various kinds. I'm fine with various kinds of orange soda. I'd be fine with that. But some folks, if you've noticed here when you've gone to the supermarket, a lot of those grocery stores have replaced those refrigerated openings and those refrigerated doors with these large LED television screens. And if we're trying to save energy, if we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint, I mean, you walk down some of the frozen and refrigerated aisles at grocery stores, and the lights are on automatic dim. Have you noticed that? You walk down the aisle, and as soon as you step in there, as you're walking down, you feel like you're walking on Broadway, because at each step you take. I've done it before. I've just like pushed my cart aside and like let my hair down and just like unbuttoned my shirt and started sashaying down the middle of the refrigerated aisle. And as I did, the lights were like coming on in the refrigerated section next to me, and I'm like, that's right, I'm here. Bling, bling, and sprinkles. Let me see some sparkle. That's right. Show me your happy face. Show me your seductive face. And of course, people think, they start taking pictures of it and put it on social media. You can probably find it out there. But as you walk down the refrigerated aisles, the lights just start coming on. They did this to save money because they're constantly running those fridges anyway, which is a lot to refrigerate that. So they're constantly running those refrigerators. So now they put it on auto lights so that when you walk down the aisles and you leave and there's nobody there for a period of time, the lights shut off. Smart idea. I thought it was great. But then they go and they replace these refrigerated doors with the soda with massive LED light displays that are blasting constantly. You put your hand against it and it's hot. I mean, these things are bright and they're obnoxious, right? But it just throwing that out there. Here's a story from CNN that Walgreens and other retailers have swapped out the clear fridge and freezer doors at thousands of stores, instead adding opaque doors with iPad-like screens showing what's inside. Some customers really, really aren't into it. The screens, which were developed... Sorry, I'm out of breath from my sachet. I tell you what, being beautiful and sexy is hard work. The screens, which were developed by the startup Cooler Screens, use a system of motion sensors and cameras to display what's inside the doors, as well as product information, prices, deals, and most appealing to brands' paid advertisements. The tech provides stores with an additional revenue stream and a way to modernize the shopping experience. But for customers who just want to peek into the freezer and grab their ice cream, Walgreens risks angering them by solving a problem that shoppers didn't know existed. The company wants to engage more people with advertising, but the reaction so far is annoyance and confusion. Why would Walgreens do this? One befuddled shopper who encountered the screens posted on TikTok, who on the heavenly abode owner Earth thought this was a good idea. The digital coolers at Walgreens made me watch an ad before it allowed me to know which door held the frozen pizzas. Are you serious? Wait a second. You're like, hold on. Hold on. The end of the last hour or last segment, I was talking about walking around barefoot because I think I'm a star child. And now I opened up this story talking about like saving energy and wondering why they would shut down the lights automatically in freezer and frozen aisles, but then blast your face with these constantly running 24/7 LED energy sucking screens. And my concern was over energy. You're concerned because you couldn't tell which door had your frozen pizza? Dude, just open the door. It's not hard. You just open the door, order the pizza, and you grab the pizza, you put it in your cart. It's not hard to do that. I'm thinking this is like a green issue, like a carbon footprint issue, like we're using more energy than we need to use type issue. I'm the conservative here, and I'm thinking about that, and you are thinking about, I gotta open the door and see what the pizza is. I can't find the pizza. Great googling moogly. And if you're the person who stood there watching the advertisement rather than opening the door, you are the problem. Another person echoed that Walgreens, saying that Walgreens, nobody needs TV screen replacing doors in your cooler aisles. Stop. All right? Stop. I can't even. Walgreens, I want to speak to your manager. Retailers are eager to add new ad experiences to their physical stores, but many consumers aren't eager to change their habits. And they're certainly aren't used to watching freezer display ads. People really appreciate their routines. They're not always seeking excitement, said Julio Savella, an associate professor of marketing at the University of Georgia who studies consumer behavior. Digital screens, he said, can add uncertainty and physical barriers to a simple and literally transparent process, reaching into a glass fridge. No, I'm again about energy. I'm about cost that it takes to put those things in there and the constant barrage of advertisements that you have. Yes, I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to disagree with this at all. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question here, though. I do the shopping at our house, and I love ClickList. If you have ClickList, if you have any other way to get your groceries, like where somebody else does the shopping for you, and then they'll put it in your van or your car for you, or they'll even drive it to your house, I'm all about that. I think it's great. But I don't always get to do the ClickList. Sometimes the majority of the time, I'm going to the store to do the shopping. Now, these people are like, I had to watch an ad to find out where the frozen pizza was. Let me ask you a question. If you're tweeting that, and this is your first time at the store, you need to find out where the bourbon is and chill out a little bit, okay? If you're going to the store on a regular basis, how many people out there could probably close their eyes and walk down the aisle and know where the door is and reach in and get the frozen meatballs or the frozen pizza or the pizza rolls, or I don't buy ice cream, but get your ice cream. I do buy the pizza rolls and meatballs. I do. That's all together. Just pile it all together. And then you grab, right after you get the frozen pizza, you get the frozen pineapples, and you put the frozen pineapples on the pizza, and then that's what you enjoy. So, BreakDRadio at protonmail.com if you disagree with that. 859-429-2764 is the voicemail you can throw at me about pineapple on pizza, because it is a godsend. It's amazing. But you can walk through the store. If you're like me, you buy the same stuff every week. You could go in there, sight unseen, staring at your phone if you wanted to, blindfolded, and just boom, and you got your stuff. You know it, I know it. If you're standing there staring at a screen the odds are you've not been to that store before. So how about you just do this? Just go to a store that doesn't have that. That's simple as that. But the idea that people are that people are thinking that this is something they need to complain about on social media, there's just some things you just don't complain about, right? What they're going to do is they're going to gauge this stuff on market acceptability, meaning if you watch the ad and you're like, hey, I think I'm going to go to aisle 7 and buy the Jolly Ranchers Fusions now, or get the Lifesaver gummies, or buy that bag of fish guts, dried fish guts, then they'll. And if they see that ad go up and they think it's because of they see those revenue sales go up and they think it's because of those ads, they're going to keep doing it. So if you don't watch the commercials, you don't know what they're advertising, and you're not going to help them out. So just stop watching the commercials or stop going to the store. All right, folks, that's it for this first hour. When we get back, all kinds of great other stuff we're going to talk about. So keep it locked in right here on The Breakdown.